To discuss this, we're joined by legal practitioner Stanley Negbenebor. Stanley, thank you very much for joining us. Considering the conflicting rulings from the Kano High Court and the Federal High Court, what is the most likely next step in this legal battle over the Kano Emirate?
A lot has gone on in the last 48 hours with orders and counter orders of courts of coordinate jurisdiction. As it stands, I am aware that the Kano state government has challenged the Federal High Court order on grounds of jurisdiction, which on the face of it is actually clear that the Federal High Court ought not to be hearing matters such as this, because according to Section 251 of the Constitution, the powers and the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court is clear explicitly. And the authorities are clear that once you are in challenge of an order and you have appealed it, of course, you are not in contempt of such an order as it stands. So what it is a status quo that the Emir of Kano, who was just reappointed, remains the Emir. It's not a very good time for the security agencies right now, because as it stands, they are having different orders of court to comply with. Unfortunately so, we are hoping that the political solution will be found to this whole thing at the end of the day, because it's looking like a macabre dance now that different courts are issuing orders. There are about 3 to 4 subsisting orders in respect of this same subject matter. 3 from the Federal High Court and 1 from the State High Court. For me, I think all parties need to sheath their swords and do what will be in the interest of peace in Kano and Nigeria at large.
How might this situation, there doesn't seem to be at the moment a political solution because everybody is going to the court. So one would wonder how it would impact security in Kano, given the potential for tensions between supporters of the two emirs.
The history of Kano being a very volatile and combustible society in things like this is not far-fetched, and I think politicians need to be careful not to heat up the polity and let things go out of hand. There have been pockets of protest here and there. Even as at today, there were bonfires set up in some areas in Kano. Of course, it's a case of two elephants fighting. I'm hoping that the masses are aware they are the grass and the trees that would suffer if things go out of hand. I'm not sure that with the overstretch of our security architecture right now, avoidable conflicts like this should actually be entertained and allowed to snowball. Parties need to actually be called to order, and I think it's time for Mr. President to actually make a public statement on this because of the dire consequences. The effect of this will be unimaginable if things are not stemmed. The volatility of Kano is not anything anybody is unaware of. We should be good students of history and we should avoid repeating the same mistakes of the past. And as it stands right now, several centrifugal forces are capable of taking advantage of this situation to carry out their bad intentions. So I suggest that the tension be de-escalated with immediate effect for the good and ultimate benefit of the society.
What would be the broader implications in terms of this legal dispute for the traditional institution of the Emirate in Nigeria, considering there are speculations that does it mean we now have 2 emirs in Kano?
Unfortunately, the legal procedure in Nigeria has actually subjected our traditional institutions to the whims and caprices of politicians. Very unfortunate. Revered traditional institutions like the Emirate in Kano, which transcends over 7 centuries and all, is not something that should be toyed with and made to look like some kids' affair or some child's play at this point. What needs to be done is all stakeholders need to actually play by the rules. What are these rules? The state government is empowered to make laws relating to chieftaincy and traditional institutions. A law has been validly made and an injunction has been issued to restrain a completed act. I see signs of several incidents of abuse of court processes, and I'm hoping that when this whole drama is over, those who are behind the scene causing all of this confusion will be brought to book, because the position of the National Judicial Council is clear that courts must be very wary not to be used in circumstances like this to cause confusion, especially when jurisdictional issues are at stake and they have been clearly delineated. Parties need to be very circumspect in carrying out their activities. Hopefully, I hope this tension douses very shortly.
I want to circle back quickly before we wrap up on your submission that the president should step in. Prior to today, we've had accusations, which was later retracted, against the National Security Advisor, and we've had calls in some quarters even accusing the presidency of already interfering in the situation. Do you think that a presidential statement or presidential intervention will soothe the situation at the moment, considering that that doesn't seem to be working in Cross Rivers State?
Well, I would say that what we see in Kano right now is the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. As it stands, it's clear for everyone to see that political horse trading is going on. And I think that playing ostrich is not what the presidency should play at this point in time. The importance of Kano to maintaining peace and stability in Nigeria should not be toyed with. And I think a definitive statement rather than denials should actually be made. The federal government cannot say they are not involved. The information has it that soldiers are guarding one of the parties. Those soldiers work with others, and I'm sure those others came from above. And we all just need to be careful. The politicians need to be careful not to take things overboard at this point in time.
All right, Stanley, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.